I am live today with the amazing and wonderfully talented Paola Santana.
Thank
Paola,
you. Yay.
I am
Weird.
so excited that you are on the show today. This
Aw.
is such a fun moment for me. I get to work with you behind the scenes every day. So to have you now on the front, star that you are, and get you to share your story and hear everyone gets to hear your expertise
Aw.
is so exciting for me. I am like so thrilled. So, welcome to the show today.
Thank
Welcome to
you.
Manufacturing E-commerce Success. I'm so happy that you joined us. It's been really
Yeah.
fun this month. We've kind of like been bringing a lot of the DMG team members on to kind of share their experience,
Yeah.
expertise, and best practices. And this is going to be such a great show. How are you
Yeah.
today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's exciting for me. I've never done anything like this before, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, we're gonna have a great time. So today we're talking all about video
Yeah.
production and video marketing, and you play such a critical role on the team in creating video for our clients. Phenomenal video.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about that. And I want to kick it off. I'm going to ask you a question,
Um,
little icebreaker
Yep.
about video, because I know you're a
Okay.
big movie person.
Yeah.
And yes, so I have a couple questions for you. My first one is if someone made a movie about your life,
Oh.
what would the movie be about? And who would you want to play you?
That's an interesting question. I haven't even thought about it. It would probably be something about, it'd probably be Jennifer Lopez, probably, but
Woohoo!
not
I
that I would
love
want
J-Lo.
her, but just because, like, being an older person now, I still feel really
Mhm.
young, but I think it would be just being at a certain age, just over 40, and overcoming and changing your path in life, and doing something completely new. And I only say Jennifer Lopez because I think she actually did a movie like that where she kind of lied to change her life. I never actually saw it, but so it would be something about that, like how changing my life in a different direction and finally finding my footing in life and success, and
Oh, yeah.
changing my own destiny.
I love it, like a reinvention kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's really cool. Awesome. Okay, so I have another video question. 2 more video questions before we go because, it's the holidays coming up. So I
Yeah.
wanna know, what is your favorite holiday movie that you love to
Okay.
watch?
Oh, there's a few of them. Elf, of course, the Santa Claus, The
Oh,
Ref is a really, really fun Christmas one with, Dennis Leary. Oh, that's hilarious. And then I would have to say, the Vince Vaughn movie where he played Santa. I thought that was a really good one too. I think
yeah.
it's something the Claus movie, I think. I'm getting that name wrong, but, that one was also one of my favorite, Christmas time movies.
I
So,
love it. Very
how about you?
nice. I know my girls love all the Christmas movies. They've already started watching them. The
Yeah.
other day they started watching one. I'm like, "Is it too early?" It's not. It's not. I feel like once November 1st hits, it's never too early,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, very cool.
Sorry, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the last video question, and then we'll get to the meat. This is my last video
Yeah.
question for you. If there was a movie that you could watch on repeat over like no, not if you could if there was a movie that you could watch all over again for the first time, experience it for the first time all over
Mhm.
again, what movie would that be?
Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just it's a movie me and my sister, my family are always coding. It's just a fun
Huh.
space, you know, kind of, silly, but so much fun, has so many quotable lines, and yeah, I would totally watch that one all over again. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. For me, it's La La Land. The first time I saw
Oh,
La
yeah.
La Land, I remember I was with my really good girlfriend, and I was at the end of the movie when it finally finished. I was just so in awe. I
Yeah.
looked over at her and I was just like, "I don't wanna leave. I just wanna soak this stay here forever," like the
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
of it seeing the first time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest I've never seen. I'm gonna have to watch that one.
Yeah, it's just a fun, silly, and then watching, one of my favorite actors is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna totally forget his name right now, but, he plays the alien character in there, and he's this you know him as this really posh English actor, and, just having him in that role, it made it even funnier, but yeah, it's just a fun clean, fun movie. And it's hilarious. It's funny. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Well, let's go back down memory lane.
Yeah.
What was it that led you to want to become a videographer, video editor, video producing work? What kind of led you? What inspired you to want to go down that path? Tell us a little bit about that history.
I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I was one of those kids that never said what I wanted to be when I grow up because I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I actually started college not knowing what I was going to do and just knew that I had to go to college. But over the years, in my early teen years starting, I remember watching or spending the night at a friend's house after a 24-hour concert
Mhm.
adventure. We were watching Hitchcock's movie, the Lifeboat movie. And it was super
Okay.
early in the morning. I was super tired. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I can't finish this movie, but I think this is what's going to happen. This is who's going to survive, and this person's going to do this. And I went to bed, and I woke up the next day. My friend, my closest friend, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you predicted that movie, like, word for word, literally, like, that is exactly what happened." And so I was like, "Really?" And then, years later, The Game with Michael Douglas came out, and I had an idea what was going to happen in this movie, and, like, halfway through, I was like, "Oh, this is what's happening."
Interesting.
And, yeah, and so, like, so I realized I really liked movies, and I was always that friend, everyone told me to shut up. I was like, "Oh, that didn't make sense," or, "Did you see that mistake? Did you see that error in that cut, in that, it was a bad transition?" And they're
Oh
like, "How did you even see that?" I'm also the person who sees the continuity issues, like, "Did you see there's a cup over there? Oh, wait, did you see that their arm was this way and not this way?" And so, my friends are like, "Why don't you just enjoy a movie?" And I'm like, "I don't look for that stuff, it just pops out at me." And so I ended up going to school and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do film or actually communications with an emphasis in film.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And yeah, one of my teachers, I had to do a little project that pieced together some clips. And he's like, you are a really good storyteller. Like, I'm going to keep your project to show other people, to other students in the future. And so, that's, I just started it. And, life got in the way. I let myself get in the way and I didn't take it any further than college. And I'm a little sad about that. So, but
Well, look at you
I
now.
know, I'm
You're
trying to do it now.
totally yeah, you totally, it's amazing how life works out that way. I
Mm,
think sometimes the path that we take in the moment, it may feel like, "Oh, this isn't where I wanna
yeah.
be," or "This isn't what I expected." But then when you look back, you realize that it's kind of led you
Yeah.
roundabout to where you are, and the lessons you learn along the way prepare you for
Yeah.
those moments. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty exciting to see that even after all that time, kind of like you're on that path, on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and that I think it's you are an incredible storyteller with your work, and what you mentioned earlier about being able to see those little details in videos
Mhm.
is such a gift because you're able to bring that to the work that you do by making sure that, like, in
It's
terms
a
of
curse too, though.
attention to detail and focus on quality and making sure that the final product is just really spot on. You have such a knack and an eye for that and a very unique, I would say a very unique elevated style to the way that you do
Thank
video.
you.
That's very
Yeah,
cool.
that's
So,
so nice.
yeah, well,
Thank
I
you.
only speak truth to my dear friend Paola.
Yeah.
So, tell me what inspired you to start your company, The Collaborate VA? So what was it that made you take the leap? It's a big step to decide that you wanna go off and start a
Yeah.
company from experience, it's a big decision, it's a big risk, and,
Mhm.
so much uncertainty. So,
It
what made
is.
you take the leap?
Gosh. Really, it just I wanted to be in control of my own schedule and my own life. I didn't wanna I had done, jobs throughout the, older years that my time was tied to someone else letting me have time for, vacation. If a family emergency appeared, I had to ask and check to see I had time available to take off. I couldn't just be like, you know what, this is a really bad day for me and I need to stay home to be with my family, or
Yeah,
I want to stay with myself. Like I'm feeling, uninspired or not creative and just feeling very, bogged down by the daily grind of working. And I just said, you know what? Let's go. My brother had mentioned to me about being a virtual assistant, and I had kind of brushed it off. I was like, oh, no, that's not really for me. I need a job. And then I finally was like, I moved to Idaho, made a big move to Idaho during the worst time to move anywhere, make a big move like that, which is in the middle of the pandemic. Left a really good job that I really did enjoy doing, and I couldn't find work for a little while, and finally went to work for the county. And I was just like, this job is so like way below than what I'm capable of. And not that it's a bad job, it's just I know I'm made for more. I was made to do more things. And so I was like, well, I'll just take my skills that I have and I will start my own business. And, I think we as business owners or as just in general, human beings who are working together, uh, we do our best work when we can collaborate with people that we really trust and to be honest with one another. And so I was just like, okay, well, you know what, let's collaborate together with people and, you know, partner, especially with small business owners or freelancers who need just that somebody to support them. And so that's what I did. And slowly it's evolving, but here I am trying to do what
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah,
can.
I've loved being a part of your journey, it's been really
Yeah,
exciting. I remember
big
the
part.
first projects that we worked on together.
Yeah.
Remember those videos I shot in my dining room, and I was like,
Yes.
"Paula, can you edit these for me?" And you just did such a beautiful job.
Thank
So
you.
I've always loved your work, and it's just been really nice evolution to see, your business grow and to be able to just with great pride share your work with, our clients and everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's my
very
pleasure. I'm happy to do it and helping them too. It's not just about me, it's about others too.
yeah, exactly. So, okay, this is a big question. I like to get a little sentimental.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to be known and remembered for? Like if you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at your life,
Mhm.
what is it that you want people to know you as and think of you as? Remember
I'm a good
the love
storyteller.
you.
Yeah, just a good storyteller. I want people so for me, I love the movies because my life is real. Everything that I deal with is real. I don't even like dramas. Very few drama movies that I wanna be out of drama. My life in different seasons is filled with drama, and not even just my drama, just other people in the world, and it can be
Yeah,
very
it's part of
heavy
life.
on life, and especially if you're going through something, then seeing the world going through something, and so for me, I wanna entertain people, I want to uplift, encourage people, and if we can do that through movies and storytelling, and, that's really why I wanna be known that, I helped continue to help people get through tough times, whether it's something through comedy or romantic comedy or, just something that just uplifts and encourages people too. So hopefully that's
Beautiful.
what I'm known for. Yeah. And obviously my faith. I have a big faith and someone who's brave enough to speak about her faith too. I want to be known for that as well.
Yeah, I really respect that about you. You really have a very deep sense of integrity and purpose to your life and how
Yeah.
you are, and it shows. And I think that's a really, really cool part of
Mhm.
you, Paula. Let's talk a little bit about video production and how it's evolved because you've been
Yeah.
doing this for a while.
Mhm.
How has video production evolved over the last 5, 10 years? Like, walk us through kind of like what you've seen in terms of what's really changed and shifted and kind of where things
Mhm.
are going when it comes to the types of videos, specifically when it comes to marketing and, business and, the creator world that we live
Uh,
in.
well, I mean, just in the last couple of years, it's changed, but I think overall, since when I started, and I kind of was sharing this with you earlier, is when I first started doing anything video related, I was in this like really weird moment of where cinema was transforming from the traditional cut film, very storytelling based, to going all digital, nonlinear editing, and shifting to things being accessible. And I think that's what really the big change over the last 5 to 10 years is now it's accessible to a lot of people. Does that mean everyone's good at editing? Which is kind of a little bit of a fear for probably a lot of us in the industry, but in truth, it's not because being able to edit and having those accessibilities is good, but you also have to be able to tell a good story. It's not just enough to be like, hey,
Mm,
I can piece together this 5-minute video or 2-minute or even a 30-second. It has to be enticing and very catching catch someone's attention. So I would say accessibility is really the biggest change. Now it's accessible to literally anybody. You can get an app on your phone now, and it used to be really hard to do that. You had to have a computer system that could handle the bigness of the file of the program you're using. You have to have certain equipment in order to run certain programs. And so that's a major one until AI hit, which is now, obviously one of the biggest on everyone's mind is you can't go anywhere without it affecting one industry or another. And so I think that's the biggest shift in seeing. We did see a little bit a few years ago with the movie Beowulf with Angelina Jolie. I remember it was a really big thing because it was the first time. I don't remember if AI was involved in creating it, but it was the first time it was like a completely CGI movie, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be the future. Everything is going to be much more realistic, just computer generated." I don't see that quite yet, but that is definitely on the forefront to see how good is it going to get to recreate our likeness. So it's shifted in that its essence as technology. Really, it's really the basis is the changes of technology, but storytelling is going to be what far out, supersedes AI. I actually did my thesis, or not my thesis, my 50-page paper at my college on the narrative paradigm, which is a communication theory about how storytelling is so important. And that's how we as a society continue to exist, is because we're continuously telling stories. And I'm saying that in a nutshell. But that's how our legacy continues, is through our storytelling.
I love that. And I think when it comes to storytelling, maybe that's the element that AI just really can never replace
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
you can be a really good storyteller. So maybe I'd love to hear a little bit more about that from you. Like, because video editing and producing is so accessible now to so many people.
Mhm.
If you're out there and you're running a small business and video is so important for you to have in your business, what would you advise for them in terms of what are the things they should be looking for in a creative like yourself or other partners to decide, that this is going to be a good fit and that they're going to really be able to take your brand to that whole other level through storytelling? What are some things they should be thinking or asking about?
Well, definitely you have to know your business. You have to know your product or your service. You have to know what your brand is. Because if you don't know who you are, how can you communicate that to somebody else? So you have to really know what it is that you're reaching to your audience, right? To your buyer, to your viewer. And I think once you know who you are as a business, as a brand, then it makes it easier to ask the right questions to the person you're looking to bring onto your team. And that's for really any position in your business. But really, the best questions is to ask, like, how are they going to align their vision with the vision of your brand, and ask those questions. I think that's like really what you're going to really the way to find a good creative, is see what they feel, what they can bring to the table as to propelling your story forward, that's captivating the audience, and ask for their input on that. How do you see our brand? um, I would say also that, see their work. How is it communicating that
Mhm.
message in that moment? And I really think that's really the two things, aside from like, okay, talent. But as a business, as a small business, you're just really trying to find someone who is going to work well with you. And someone who's going to work well with you is going to not hold your hand, but they're going to speak up when it's necessary, offer honest advice and feedback to you. And it's a relationship, right? It's that open door between the both of you. So making sure that they're going to communicate with you just as well as you're going to communicate with them. And then I think one of the final things is, and I've kind of shared this with you over the last year, is as a brand owner or as a business, you have to also be invested in your own marketing. You have to be invested in your own business. So if you're not willing to take the time to help your creative team, whether that's marketing, your sales team, to be also just either available, then you're not gonna find someone that's going to be able to help you. You're going to find fault with them, because you have to be able to invest your time as well into your
Mhm.
business, and that's also means helping your team create the content that they need to really drive sales, generate leads, whether it's social media marketing or it's your email marketing or just commercial marketing, whatever it is, you have to really be ready to invest your time, not just money, just your time to it as well.
Such great points. So I love that. I'm going to sum it up because I think this is all brilliant. You mentioned you've got to know your brand very
Mhm.
clearly first. You have to have a clear vision and a clear idea of what it is that you want to say and be known for before
Mhm.
you can even find a creator
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good partner. You mentioned collaborative, and I love how you said that you want to find someone who's going to be honest with you, which I love about you. You're always very, very honest and give great recommendations and feedback. Someone who's not just going to take direction, but's actually going to provide some expertise,
Yeah.
and push
Yeah.
back and educate your client, which is really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And then I think to your last point about investment, you're absolutely right. Whenever you're doing a video project, it's not something that just happens in the ether. It requires a commitment of people. People are usually in the video. And if they're not in the video themselves, then there's, work that needs to be done behind the scenes
Mhm.
to do that video. And so if you really want it to put your best foot forward, you do have to make that investment of time with your
Yeah.
people and really commit to the project in order for it to
Yeah.
get the impact and the results that you want. So
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
Authenticity sells. People want to see, especially with AI, authenticity is going to be really big. Is this brand just using an AI tool to just shoot out content, or are they creating content that actually speaks to me and makes me want to buy or listen or get aware, whatever it is, it's part of that customer journey, right?
Oh, let's talk about AI and authenticity. This is a
Yeah.
cool topic. As you're looking at, obviously we all are leveraging AI in new ways that we never have before.
Yeah.
How do you see AI serving and supporting your role as a creative?
Mhm.
And what parts of your job, your role, do you think AI can never replace or should never replace? How do you balance that?
That's really hard because I'm still learning to see what best works for me. But from what I have found and across the industry people that I've talked about this topic, it's really just about I think storytelling, of course, that is the number one thing that's never going to be replaced by AI. Because AI, as great as it's going to get and as as good as it will ever be, it can't imagine for us. We're the imaginative force behind AI. AI can only
Mhm.
take what's already been created. And yeah, I could create something from that, but it's literally taking a piece from here, a piece from there. And you have to be able to prompt it well enough to create your idea. So it can't really tell you, well, you should be really saying this to get that effect. It could just take what's already out there, someone else's theory, someone else's work, and then say, hey, create this piece of work. But I think AI, I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but the good thing about it is it can help save time. So um, for small business owners, it could help recreate and repurpose content, help
Mhm.
you create captions or create descriptions for like YouTube. And so I think there is some element that it's really helpful if you're just wanting to create content quickly and you don't have maybe the full budget to have a little production team or even one, solo production team. It can help you generate that content and get it out there, distribute it really well. Um, I would suggest that you have to just get really comfortable with knowing how to prompt it so that you can get the best result from it. Because if you're going in there and like, I need, 5 ideas on marketing, it's going to give you like, whatever's out there. Yeah, you're going to get really bad rewards, very broad, very general. But so you have to learn how to talk to it is really what you're going to have to do.
How to
Um,
train your AI. So
how
how
to
to
train
train
your
your
AI. Exactly. You have to train your AI and your language to speak to it. So you have to learn another language. It's
It's
gonna
so
be
true.
on
You gotta
Duolingo.
think about it as your puppet, right? You're the one that has the string.
Yeah, you have
And
exactly.
if you can choose to not have a puppet and not use the AI, or you can choose to
Yeah.
use it and see how it can help you.
I don't think that's a bad thing either, but, I think don't like, learn to use it.
Mhm.
You can be above the norm and not use it, but learn how to use it anyways because it's here. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I would say that it's really important to experiment and use it so you can
Yeah.
see and understand how and the ways that it can help you be more creative and how it can't. And you
Yeah,
don't know that unless you try.
exactly,
You
yeah.
have to, like, try it and learn it and try to figure it out, and you're gonna find over time, well, this can never replace these aspects of what I'm doing to create, but it can support these others. And I read this really great quote today from Anne Handley. She's a really wonderful content marketer, and she or actually it wasn't a post from her. I think it was a post she had commented on, to be fair. But it was a post that someone said that they were talking about the tedious parts of our work as creatives, like the routine
Mhm.
tasks. And AI is here to take all of those routine
Yeah,
tasks essentially off of our plate, right? But they made a really good point. They said that sometimes it's when you're doing those tedious and remote routine tasks that you can be more creative. It's like in the doing of the mundane that sometimes creativity strikes you. And so it's really
Yeah.
important to be very careful about how you're using AI in that way
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you don't want to and if you think about it, like it's so true. Like I'm truthfully find I get the best ideas and most creative when I'm out on a walk. How mundane and tedious is that? Like
Yeah.
truthfully, like
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything magical. I'm just literally walking the same way, 2 steps forward. And that's when all the ideas kind of tend to flow
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really important point is to be very careful and be mindful about that. Like there is some beauty in that mundane
Yes.
tedious
Yeah.
work that we have to do in
Well, it
order to
stretches your capacity to think beyond, just this like, okay, how can I improve this moment? What I'm working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, very
I'm
cool.
reading a book called How to Steal or gosh, I had it in my head. Basically it's about stealing, the art of stealing,
Mhm.
ideas basically. And he talks about that, that physical, using something physical to, help propel ideas, carrying a journal with you. So, or a notepad. So if you're out in the world,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
feel like an artist, something like that. It's a book. I'll have to figure it, get the right name. But yeah, so I could totally see that. But I would just say, just to add on to our conversation, that it can definitely help us save time and like in the actual editing tasks of things. But no matter how you use AI, you always have to check it and make sure that it is aligning with your business. It's aligning with the message that you're trying to say. Always double check its work.
Yes, you're right. There always needs to be an editing eye, a human editing eye
Yeah.
on anything
Yeah.
that AI creates. I love that. Let's talk a little I wanna shift gears. I'm gonna share a quote with you. And this came from an article I read by a dear marketer that he's just so great. His name is Mark Schaefer. I recently took a personal branding class from him last month. So anyone out there, if you're listening, please check this class out. Mark Schaefer has written some wonderful, wonderful books and just is such a wonderful futurist when it comes to marketing and leader and really understanding human behavior.
Mhm.
And he wrote an article recently about messy marketing, which is starting to have it's kind of having a moment. And he talks specifically about this thing called the pratfall effect, which is a psychological phenomenon that describes the way people's perceptions of someone's competence can be influenced by their display of vulnerability or mistakes, often in a humorous or endearing manner. And so the whole thing, the idea is that mistakes can disrupt initial perceptions and make someone look more endearing or attractive and enhance an image of fun and humility. And we're seeing this pratfall effect have a lot of impact in a lot of marketing right now. Like he mentioned specifically, like a Burger King ad where someone's deliberately singing out of tune. And you're also seeing, for example, on Instagram, there's been kind of like this focus on like raw, unedited photos without all the filters and things like that.
Yeah.
And we see that, I mean, with TikTok, it's all about, raw, short clips. So what is your take on this whole this messy marketing phenomenon and how businesses should be embracing it, leveraging it, in what ways, and how does that play into video marketing specifically?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to that authenticity again, like that,
Mhm.
just you're a brand. Just because you're a brand or you're a company doesn't mean that there's not a human element to it. And so I think why a lot of people will be drawn to that is because you're seeing the humanness behind the company that you're, following,
Yeah.
the brand that you're following. Especially with AI now, people are going to start to question, is this something that was generated by a computer, or was this, or a robot, or was there a human really behind this? And so I think that there is some probably spaces for that, and I think it can work in certain situations. I don't think that should be like anything. It shouldn't be your sole focus. I
Mhm.
think again, you have to know your brand and you need to know what message you're putting out there. So I think it's okay to be vulnerable on, in your marketing. I think it can have an impact. It can really show that help you build that community, show like, hey, we're real people. We make mistakes all the time too. We're just because, we may be imperfect on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. So I think there's some element to it. But again, I think it's like everything else. You have to test what works for your company. You have to make sure that it's aligned with your vision, make sure that that's the message you want to be known for, and really, you know, include that in your marketing if it's valid, if it's relevant to your vision. Um, you still have to know how to put that together well in the
Yeah.
package. It's not just enough to, I mean, you can just throw up a photo that's been unedited, which is totally fine. But you still want to have somebody involved to like, how can you position it best way? Make sure that your captions are sending the same message. So if you have a messy or an ugly, like, this is me, I'm ugly crying, give it context. Like you don't just throw it up there. So even with messy marketing, there's still some strategy behind it.
Yeah, I
And
think you're absolutely right. You've got to be very intentional about how and when you're using it,
Mhm.
I think, instead of just like, there needs to be some organization of the mess, if you will.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
still certain types
Organized
of
chaos.
video for businesses that really like you have your brand videos, for
Mhm.
example, like a really nice video on your about page, that should be really polished and well done. And then figuring out like, well, what can we do that's more of the videos that you use for the reels that have the shorter lifespan that
Yeah.
can do a little bit more of the messy marketing and being really intentional about mixing up the format. You don't want to do everything messy. Figuring out
Right,
that balance.
exactly. Yeah. And again, you just have to know that that's what your audience wants. Says, I mean, one thing is you want to go viral, sure, but that's not really the goal. The goal in most of the time is
No.
you're trying to generate
True.
exactly, you're trying to generate revenue ultimately. Everybody wants to make more money. So while I can't speak to that part of like what will make a video go viral, the point is that even if you have a small audience, it's okay. Like you want to make sure you're speaking to that audience because your audience is going to buy from you. That's
Yeah.
ultimately the goal. So you want to make sure that your whatever content you're creating, that is aligned again with that vision that you have for your message and your audience wants that content. So ask them, is this something that works for you? I will also add that on the opposite of that, you don't want to be, you don't want to also be worried that it has to be perfect before you hit the publish button, because
Yes.
then that can hold you back from even putting any content out there, making sure it's completely perfect. One thing about social media that I really like is you can always send a message like, oops, we screwed up. We said the wrong thing. And that's okay. That also builds that trust with your community that you're a human and that we make mistakes. So, it's okay if it's not completely polished.
Yeah, I love that. So cool. So, man, I lost my question. This is man. Okay, so speaking of, okay, so let's talk about what do you see right now as some of the biggest trends in video production? And what are your thoughts there? And what really matters
Oh
at the end of
gosh.
the day? I mean,
I
trends, fads come and go, and I know you've mentioned storytelling, but what other things are you
yeah.
seeing, hearing? What's your advice there?
I think that's something that I've been seeing more is like telling a real an authentic story instead of just creating content. For trend wise, I think it's going to be just how creative we can get with AI. I think that's really huge. One of the trends I see is everyone, or I've seen lately, is creating these like we're sitting here and creating a fake office that looks beautiful and great. So I think that's like the next thing everyone is trying AI and how they can generate with the Photoshop's generative fill and even Canva with their ability to create backgrounds and stuff. I'm seeing a lot of people starting to create these like fake studios and add a plant in the middle. So I think that's one of big trend is how can we use creatively we can use generative AI and in our content that we're producing.
Cool. So you have an idea of what you want and then
Yeah, so
figuring
you can
out
take me
how to
here. If I was more in
yeah.
frame, I can just literally take my little section here and then I can, outline the rest of the screen here that I have. And then I can tell Photoshop or Canva, like I want to, Photoshop's a little bit better about this, but Canva's not right there. Create this background and it will generate or leave it blank and it will actually continue your background. So you have a larger background. Makes it feel like you're in a full production studio. And then you can add little elements. Like if I had a blank wall, I could be like on this side, put a shelf with like a succulent and a movie poster and it will come up with some options. So that's really big right now, is to seeing what you can create, cutting out people's heads and changing to somebody's what they look like. So I think that's a really big thing right now. I mean, I don't know where that's going to go as far as marketing, but it'll be interesting to see what people will come up with and start, creating their own generative AI content. And it'll be interesting to see what, the laws are going to take place as to how do we tell people that this is generated AI? Do we have a responsibility to tell consumers that it is? So that's one of the biggest trends. I think we'll still continue to see short form video doing pretty well. We'll also see, I think, just being more intentional with like descriptions in your like YouTube,
Mm.
things like that. I've read someone gave a trend that TikTok isn't doing too well, but I'm not a really big TikTok fan myself, so I'm not too versed in that area. But people love it. I think people want to consume quicker, more. They want you to get to the point, I think is
Yeah.
what it is. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a trend with like, okay, how can we tell our story concisely in under 60 seconds? And so
You're
I think
absolutely
that's going to be a
right.
big thing too.
Attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, and you've got to like change, interrupt as
Yeah.
quickly as possible to keep
Or I
people.
mean, I want to know if attentions are getting shorter is like more like, is the content you're giving me is relevant, and in that 30 seconds does it make me want to go know more about you or what you're offering?
Yeah.
So I think that you kind of having to think about, okay, can I capture what I want to kind of whet someone's appetite, but then draw them enough to be like, okay, I want them to move from their phone to my website or to learn more about, maybe a tutorial video that I have to help them even more. So learning how to marry the shorter forms with the longer videos, I think that's something that I think we're going to start to see even marketing agencies like, how do we marry the two to kind of be like, okay, how do I get them from this point now to a point that gets them to stay longer? And you honestly, it's going to be spending some money to get someone creative to help you along the way to do that. So, and then
Wow.
community. I think that's something I've also heard is just how do you build a community with people and to buy into your brand, to buy into your service, and building a community. I think that's going to be really big too. So.
I have several follow-up questions. So the first one is, what AI tools are you using now that you love? That's the first one. But the second one is a bigger one and completely unrelated, and that is, what are the elements of great storytelling?
Um, so for AI tools, I think I'm still learning. I'm still trying to find which ones I like because none of them really serve my purpose of what I'm looking for help with. But obviously, ChatGPT, though, it's not really my favorite. And I don't pay for the ChatGPT for, so I'm sure that one's a little bit more powerful. But I do like ChatGPT to help me with some ideas, along with Copy AI. I think the Copy AI is a little bit more humanistic right now in its responses, feels more me. You can train it a little bit better than I think ChatGPT because it allows you to add your own brand voice. Descript is a really good one. They're starting to really take over the market with kind of giving you an all-in-one, aside from like the chat box, which they may get there with that. But being able to record 4K video and, now they're giving you prompts. So you can prompt it to give you, shorten your, social captions, give you ideas for writing your social captions. It doesn't quite yet do the, like Riverside is good too. They actually give you clips that you can use. So Descript, I'm sure, will be there eventually to suggest like actually cut your clips for you. But I really like Descript just because it gives you the ability to do your actual subtitles and captions on there with ease. And it does take a little bit of a learning curve, but they have some other features where it'll keep your eye on the camera no matter where you're moving. So
Yeah, that's a cool one. That's a
yeah,
really cool one. Yeah.
some people I would say, especially like video editors, will be like, well, it's not really natural to keep your eyes in the camera as you're moving and because we're humans. We move, we use our body, we to move around. And one I haven't tried yet is their overdub, where you can take a piece of like someone's voice, like maybe they said the wrong word, and I tried it like once and it didn't work out very well, but it's gotten better supposedly. And it will switch that word or that clip into the same tone that's been the flow of tone that's already been going on. So Descript is really good. I found a few other ones. I just haven't had a repurpose yet to use them. Like repurpose is supposedly really good to help you repurpose your content. So if you already have a YouTube video and you want to, send it to TikTok and send it to Instagram and send it to Facebook, it will actually take clips for you and send it. We'll be able to distribute it. So there's just so many AI tools out there, and I'm trying to wade my way through them. So other people have done better research than I have on those. But storytelling wise, I think what tells a good story is that it's just you, right? It's just you. You're giving in a concise manner. You don't want to spend 3 hours telling a story. Being able to just share. And I'm gonna have to shorten this because storytelling is, there's so much to it, and I'm not really a writer in that sense of like I write every day, which I would love to, but like the elements of a storytelling is just something that's compelling, right? It's you have your hero who is going to achieve something or get somewhere, and I think that's really what drives us is like how did that what's the the 3 acts, right, or 2 acts, and what is that hero trying to get to and how do they overcome it? And so you kind of just have to kind of look at your brand that same way, or your company is like, what are we doing for our audience and how are we helping our audience achieve what it is that we are offering them? So that's like the very, in a nutshell, very quick. There's more to it, but it's who's your hero and what's your hero doing to overcome or to get someplace.
I love that. And it plays really well for like customer testimonial videos, like the customer being the hero and then sharing their story about how you, the company, helped them overcome whatever challenge. I think is a really great way to show that. I love when people just can share their truth authentically. That's so compelling. Like when people just can be vulnerable and really just share in a way that's not like oversharing. Like you have to be careful.
Yes.
Someone recently told me like, you want to share your scars, not your wounds. And I thought, oh,
Right.
that's an interesting way to look at it, So,
Yes.
yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what clients can do to prepare and get the greatest results for their projects. You mentioned a few things earlier that maybe we can elaborate on a little bit, but you mentioned like knowing your brand, right? Like you want to know your brand and then also commit your time. So maybe talk a little bit more about maybe go into detail about those two things or any other things that you think clients can do to just really make sure that when they're investing in a video project that they're really going to get the most impact with the work.
Well, the person who knows your brand is going to be able to, like I said earlier, convey what your message that you're trying to get out into the world. So I think, whether it's you as the owner or just someone who's in one of your teams, somebody who really knows the brand and breathes it, lives it, can really help propel those stories and make them really compelling because they obviously can respond in the voice of the company. So obviously that's going to be always the first thing, but I would say building also, one of the things I'll always recommend, I've shared this with you, is starting to get content of your business, right? What is it? Build a content library. Do you have a product? Do you have a demo? Do you have are you a service or are you actually producing something? If you're a manufacturer, get on the floor, take photos of how, maybe not your proprietary stuff, but at least some of your processes that you're willing to share, that you can share. Get your community involved to seeing how your product is being made, because then it makes it like, oh, they're making my blah, 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 blah. And it makes it real. So building a content library.
Marketing, right? Seeing behind the scenes. People want to see
behind the scenes stuff, things that, there's bad ideas sometimes, but I'd rather have too much content that I have access to. I'm not saying put it out there, just create your own personal content of stuff that really speaks to your brand and to what you're doing, your service or your manufacturing or whatever it is that you have. So that when your creator does come on, they have stuff that they can already access. Like, hey, this is what we really like. This can work. And you're not basically running to catch up and provide content for them or having to hire someone to come in, which is always a good idea, I think, to take professional photos. I think you really should have professional quality stuff too. There is a school of thought that says, you don't have to be too production-y, which is, it's fine, which we talked about earlier. But you also don't want to have no quality either. So you want to have a bad balance of both. So involving your team, like ask your team, like, what do you think, especially sales, like what are our clients saying? What do they want to
Mhm.
hear from us? What questions are they asking? For FAQs or frequently asked questions for your customers are really great material. So start building a content library of videos, of testimonials, definitely like ask for that testimonial. That's social proof that whatever you're doing is working for somebody else, whether it's solving their pain or helping them find happiness of something because they found joy in it. So building that library and then organizing that library. Just don't have a drive and have everything like, oh, this is videos and blah, blah, blah. We don't know what it is. Make sure you're tagging everything, you're labeling everything. So that way, when you do have a creative team come in, or if your marketer can come in, you have a marketing small, whether it's a one team or a big team, they have already content there that they can start pulling from. So I think that's one way to help, get help your creatives. And then I would just say, make sure that you're on the same page. Just make sure that everything that you're happy, but also giving them freedom to create on your behalf. If you're having someone create or you're having someone market,
Yeah.
because sometimes that's not your expertise. You may know everything about your business, but how to say your message is not always our expertise. So trust, have some trust too. Um,
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned several types of video that I think that manufacturers specifically can be thinking about. Product videos where you're actually showcasing the product, how-to videos where you show how to do certain
yeah,
things, FAQ videos where you're literally just taking the top 10 questions customers ask over and over and over
um,
again and turning those into videos.
yeah,
And I love what you said too about making sure that you're showing the product, like have something in your hands so that it's more interesting than just like a talking head talking, So
yeah, yeah,
something to show, people wanna see the product.
yeah.
Behind the scenes is always really exciting and
Yeah,
show.
and invest in some equipment. I mean, if you
Mhm.
have get some light rings, get a good
Yeah,
4K camera for your computer. Our phones are really capable of doing some amazing things now. So maybe you have a company phone that you use it to reproduce all your content. Get a little lapel mic. I mean, the technology is so inexpensive these days. You don't have to spend tons of money, but invest a little bit. Yeah, so definitely. And again, again, you have to know your audience if that's the content that they want.
yeah.
I've been hearing this like just don't throw content, just throw content out there. But your creative is going to help you figure that out too. They should be able to work with you to figure that out.
Yeah, you're actually really spot on there because I think we have seen a saturation. We're seeing a saturation of content everywhere. I mean, think about how many streaming services are out there now. Like, it used to just be Netflix, and now I can't keep up with all the different streaming services. You go to each one, and it's overwhelming the amount of content that you can find. And even when you go on the web, it used to be, 10, 15 years ago, you could blog and you could rank right away on the
Mhm.
top of search.
Yeah,
It's just become so saturated. It's harder and harder for you to just get visibility there.
yeah. That relevance is really important too. You don't want to get now. You have to think about what value am I bringing in? Is it going to get ranked lower on Google? And is it going to be, ban me on the social medias because it's not bringing value
Yeah.
to the world, I guess.
Yeah, so I think to your point, it's really important to be thoughtful instead of focusing so much on quantity, quantity, quantity. We've got to just
Yeah.
create as much video content as we possibly can, really focusing in specifically on what do your buyers need and want and
Yeah.
focusing in on quality. Now, that doesn't mean that you're never going to do messy marketing, right?
Right.
But
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
just means quality in the storytelling, quality in the content of
Yes.
what you're sharing in the video, not necessarily always in the editing itself, right? But
Right. Right.
creating a quality piece of content through video that's
Yeah.
going to be memorable for people. And how much better it is to just really focus in on creating one really good piece of content than
Yeah.
trying to do,
Yeah.
5 to 10 mediocre pieces of
Yeah,
content.
exactly. And again, if you have a big like a longer video, that's okay. You can repurpose all of that into whatever it is that you need to do intentionally. Again, all of this is going to just you need some strategy, whether it's even messy or it's more thoughtful. You still need strategy. You need to just again, the only way you get strategy is knowing what you are offering, how is it benefiting, and then knowing the people who are buying in what they want. So it's you're going to hear tons of everybody who has all these ideas, and it's like I think I get tired of like, oh my gosh, everybody has so many ideas for everything and everything telling you to do this and do that. But the truth is, it's like you need to know who you are, you need to know who you're serving, and what then you can create what's going to best serve everybody involved. So,
Oh, I love that. It's like the perfect, like, you know who you are, know who you're serving and what they need, and then bring those two together. And
yeah,
that's where you
yeah,
can create magic.
yeah,
That's so
exactly.
cool. It really kind of takes a lot of the overwhelm out of it because I will tell you, like, we'll
It
talk
is.
to clients and they can have a tendency to get really overwhelmed really easily. But if you
Oh
break it
yeah,
down that way and focus in
yeah,
on the strategy being really about you and your brand, your story, and how that really helps solve problems for your
yeah,
customers.
yeah.
That's
Trust your team. Like, I mean, you can't. We're only ourselves, and we can't be in 1,000 different places. And so, if you don't know it, pick someone that does. Find someone that does know it, and then just trust them that they're going to do okay, even when it feels like that may not be right.
that
Try it.
sounds like my relationship with you, Paola. I just trust you because you know it way better than I do. You're so
Not saying I get
talented.
it right all the time. I'm just, but you have to be able to trust your team. You can't do it all and you shouldn't have to do it all. You really
Yeah.
should be trusting the people who are around you. And I think that's really a point. That's one of the things I don't like being as a business owner is just not having someone else on my team yet that I can be like, you run with this, but I have no idea. And that's okay to be in that place. I think people get stuck like, I want to approve everything on my own. It has to run through me. It has to be perfect. And it's okay to like just trust your team. And if it doesn't work, okay, then we start to figure out we go back, to another plan and try something else. Um, I mean, it can get expensive that way, but there's ways to get around spending a lot of money to, do that whole testing thing. But that's a whole other topic.
There are so many more topics that we can talk about. Oh my
Yeah, we
god.
sure can.
We're gonna have to do a part 2. So I would love to just like learn, okay, so what is next for the Collaborate VA? What is like what as you look ahead, 2024 is coming up soon. What is it that you are like, what's on your bucket list? What are you really looking forward to next year and beyond? How are you looking to grow yourself and your business as you look forward?
Um, so I am actually going to start shifting more to just being strictly video editing
Mhm.
and just um, intentional video editing or intentional product. I don't know what that looks like just yet. I would love to work with movies,
Yeah.
but I'm not ready to move back to California or anywhere else at this moment yet, unless something was really a really amazing opportunity. It would have to be great. But yeah, I think just helping people with their video content clients, whether it's an individual or companies, especially as video editing does become more accessible and everybody has a cell phone, can cut on their phones now, which is really hard. And I don't really recommend doing it unless you're doing a TikTok video, that needs those quick cuts. Um, and just giving those businesses somebody to come to be able to have someone that they can trust to create the content that's going to drive them sales. I mean, I can't make promises that something will go viral, but I promise to work with you to see what will work. And that's kind of why I want to be that we're going to collaborate together. It's not just me and it's not just you. We're doing this together. And that's really what I love about just everything that I do. But more importantly, just giving somebody that person that like, hey, Paola knows what she's talking about. She's going to help me walk through this. And I want to build a video company like that.
Yeah, well, you are, girl, because you are an absolutely phenomenal
Yes.
collaborator. Such a phenomenal collaborator. I can attest to that. You listen with grace, but then you also give feedback with grace, and you have great expertise. And just as a member of our team, you've been such a critical part of cultivating a really collaborative culture and just very open and flexible. And it's just it makes working fun. You make working fun, and not only fun, but elevate. The work is elevated. And I
Thank
think
you.
that's what's really special about what you bring is
Good.
that
I'm glad.
don't you
That
don't
makes me happy.
you don't settle for mediocrity. So anyone out there who's listening, if you're
Yeah.
looking for a creative who is going to challenge you, who's going to be super committed to creating really quality results and elevating your brand and your work, who's on the cusp and on the cutting edge of everything new that's happening, you definitely want to get in touch with Paola. She's just really a gem, a talent when it comes to video editing. I'm always so proud to share her work with our clients. So Paola, how can people get a hold of you if they want to get in contact with you?
They could just email me at hello@thecollaborateva.com. The same website.
Mhm.
I haven't been keeping up too well with it just because I am shifting gears. I want to be known for something different, but it's still there. And then just online, just at the Collaborate VA. So
Awesome.
thank
Well, it's been so much fun to have you on the show. I've actually been
you.
looking forward to this day for a long time. So thank you
Oh,
for coming on, and I
yeah.
hope we can do it again soon, and just appreciate everything that you do and all of your wonderful goodness. It's amazing. So
Thank
thank you
you. I
so much,
appreciate it. Thank
Paola.
you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
And
love
thank
the
you
chat.
anyone out there who's listening, thank you for joining us. I hope this was a really great show and that you were able to learn a lot. And if you have any questions at all about video, please reach out to Paula and she's be a great resource for you. So thank you. Everyone
Thank
have a great
you.
day.